And welcome back to the Survive Scale Soar Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy, and today I have an amazing guest and friend. I'd like to introduce Brandon Head to the show. He's a father. He's a business owner in the lending industry, and in about a year and a half, he's been an ultra marathoner. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But Brandon, welcome to the show.
Man, Jeremy, I am pumped and happy to be here, brother. Thank you for having me on.
We met through a coaching program a couple years back. Probably it's been a little while, but we've stayed in touch
Yes.
over the years. It's been fun watching you grow and develop. And in the last few months, I've been watching you prepare for this thing called Leadville 100, and I want to dive into that today. The first time I was introduced to Leadville 100 was David Goggins. Never met him personally, but I've read almost, I think I've read all his books. But he'd actually ran that race, and pretty impressive story. But to know that I have a friend now that has done that and done it at a very high level, I want to hear about some of the experiences you have. So can you tell the audience a little bit about what is Leadville 100?
Yeah, man. So the Leadville 100 it's a 100-mile race starting in a 100-mile foot race starting in Leadville, Colorado, which is supposed to be the highest unincorporated town in America. It sits at about 10,500 feet. The course runs through some rolling terrain, and then towards the turnaround, the 50-mile mark, crests over Hope Pass, what's called Hope Pass, at 12,500 feet. So you're above tree line. It's kind of barren up there, windy, and you have to go up and over that, and then you go down into the 50-mile turnaround, and you come back up and over that, which is kind of the hardest part of the whole course, and why people tend to not make it specifically to that area. But it's a great race. A big question that always comes up when I'm talking about it is, do you do all that at once? Yes, there is a 30-hour time cap for the race, and they have two prizes. The prize for finishing before 30 hours is what's called a small belt buckle. And the prize for finishing 25 hours or sooner is a big belt buckle. The
So
so the the whole, I guess, kind of motivation for this. I did this 2 years in a row. Last year we went. I had it in my mind. I was going to go get a big belt buckle. That didn't really work out. I got a small belt buckle, and I looked at it kind of around where I would wear it, and I was like, this thing looks really small. I need to go get a big one. And so we trained all of the next year leading up into August this year to go get a big belt buckle, which we did, or I did, I guess.
yeah, that's awesome. And for the listeners, I don't want anybody in Colorado to be mad at me, so I call it Leadville. It's Leadville. So I want to correct that. Yeah, you got the big belt buckle. What was your finishing time? It's 100 miles, folks.
Yeah, 100 miles. Finishing time for this year was 24 hours and 28 minutes.
What's that a pace per mile? Did you break that out?
It ended up being 14:41 per mile, I believe.
Okay. That's and everybody's like, oh, that sounds kind of slow. Try running 100
Yeah.
miles.
Over
It's
100 miles, it ends up being actually pretty decent. Just for reference, there was close to 800 people that started it. There was 400, low 400s. I think it was like 405 that finished it. And I was 78th of those 404. So there was 77 people ahead of me that finished it faster. And here's a fun fact. The guy that won it this year, absolutely incredible. He did it in 15 hours and some change, broke the course record by like 16 or so minutes, was his first 100 ever, and was run over by a car 4 months previous. Also, it's an incredible story. So like, yeah, it's really cool to finish it. Just in general, it's really cool to attempt it. It's cool to finish it under 25 hours, but man, I'm completely blown away by this guy that went out there and just completely smoked it this year.
Yeah, and I think that's going to kind of dive into some of the conversation I want to have with you with on today, and that's mindset. I want to first talk about the physical training. So somebody wakes up today. How far in advance would they need to train for an event like this, and what does a typical day look like?
I think that depends on the person, quite honestly. So, uh, there are people that literally train for a few months that have never really done anything and go out and finish it. Myself, last year, a quick little backstory on this, just to give some perspective. I decided last year that I wanted to get into ultra running. It was kind of there, like, this sounds like fun. I think I would be pretty good at it given my background in training. I'm a CrossFit athlete for a long time, but I dove in last year in January. And leading up to that first race, I trained for 8 months. Since then, I've had about a little over a year and a half worth of run training, specific run training with some sprinkled in weightlifting and stuff like that to get into this year. Two different people from last year to this year by every measure that you could measure on this. But I think my advantage on it all was coming from a pretty solid base of just physical training in general since about 2000, and let's say six or so. I'd been doing CrossFit since about 2006. So I would consider that like my base to be able to jump into that. But again, it's not all about the training to be able to go out and do something like that.
So if it's not about the training, that only leaves one conversation, and it's mindset. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I don't want to discount the training piece because you still have to be in shape. There's just, I think there's some people that are mentally stronger than others in that respect because there's people that have been runners. They were in our run group. There's people that have been runners for years and can't finish this race. Right. I mean, there's variables that come into play with that. But for myself, I would kind of blame CrossFit again for giving me a pretty mentally sharp edge on being able to tolerate pain, discomfort, and just the rigors that come along with trying to train to go run 100 miles. You can't just be a 4 mile runner a few days a week and then go out and run 100 miles. I mean, you can, you'll probably not make it or be debilitated by the end of it. But the mindset of it all, like there's a lot of ups and downs involved in that 25-hour time span, right? Now, the guy that did this in 15, his story's been really cool to see because he's like, I basically just went as hard as I could, hoping I didn't break. Um, that's a mentally tough dude, right? I guarantee you he was hurting at some point. And to that point, there was times like when I was coming back over the pass down into what's called Twin Lakes, when you leave the starting line in the morning, you hit Twin Lakes, and that's where the first climb out goes over Hope Pass. Then you go down into what's called Winfield. That's a turnaround point. Then you go back up over Hope Pass, which the backside of Hope Pass is tremendously worse than the front side, especially after having already done it. I got up to the top of Hope Pass a second time, and I've got a video of how I look. I was trying to talk. It was so windy you can't even hear me, but you can see me. I'm like pale. I look like I've been run over. I felt like complete garbage. And you had that moment. I'm like, oh my God, I've got 45 miles left. How are we going to do this? And then that's kind of where the mental stuff comes in. You stockpile it all, you shove it back down, and you say, we're just going to keep going one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that you were telling yourself as you're running? You know that the finish line, it's not really in sight, but you know you're approaching it. Like you said, 45 miles to go. What are the internal conversations you're having with yourself?
Um, so last year I found out, like, I used to listen to music when I would run. I think that's a big thing for a lot of people that go out for an hour or so on the runs. I found that to be distracting, and I would fall a lot and all that, because it wouldn't do anything. And so I had learned, by not listening to music, I can really focus on what's going on. I can be very present in that moment. What's happening with my breathing? What's happening with my pace, my cadence? How am I feeling? And essentially, like, I can on the move triage everything pretty quickly. Um, that said, there's a lot of just conversations with myself that's just make it to the next mile. You got a decent pace now, keep this pace up, next mile. That's as far as we're looking right now. And then when you get to that mile, it's the next one. And it's like, all right, we got an aid station coming up in this next mile. That'll be a good break to kind of slow down, grab some more food and some fuel, and then get back out. And if you just start stacking mile over mile, then it adds up. I never really looked at where we were at. I'm like, we got to get to the next aid station. And within that next aid station, there's 8 miles we got to get through, one by one. And that I think for me was the biggest thing with that. And especially surviving and fighting through the highs and the lows, taking advantage of the highs is a big one too. When we were feeling really good, there's a climb out of Twin Lakes once you leave all of this other climbing that you did, which I got down there, saw my crew, grabbed my what's called my pacer, and I was just kind of defeated. And I was like, oh my God, how are we going to get out of this place? Because we have to make another climb to get out of here. That's like 1,800 feet. And we got to the top, and I felt like damn near 100% better. And we ran it in for about 20 miles from that spot, because it was mostly, a lot of it was downhill. But I told my pacer, Brian, I was like, Brian, man, we're going to run, and we're just going to go as long as I can, because I feel really good right now, and we're going to take advantage of it. So riding those highs and lows was big too, but really stacking mile by mile instead of trying to look at it as like I did at the top of Hope Pass. Oh man, we got 45 miles left. We don't have that. We just got to get through the next one.
Kind of like the analogy of eating an elephant, one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Taking and breaking it down into the smaller pieces. Was there at any point, or did you even allow yourself to have this conversation? Was there any point where you're like, I'm just done. I'm not gonna make it?
No. And I could say that with confidence. And that happened last year. Now, that said, I've done a lot of other races that were leading up to training where, like, in the middle of it, I was completely defeated. And you have that moment, you're like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? This is such a dumb sport. I want to quit. I don't want to finish this. And then you kind of just get through that. Like, again, you feel better after that. It's a brief moment. And I kind of like to say this, and this is kind of applies to life too, but you're allowed to have your moment and take it. And then it's like, all right, we did it. Let's get up and move on. You were down on yourself. Time to get up. Let's move through it. We're done with that shit.
No. Yeah. Chris Heller, he was a former CEO at Keller Williams. And we were having a conversation about this exact type of topic. And he goes, you know what, Jeremy, you get the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, it's done. It's not going to serve you well, right? Like if you were to tell yourself on the race and you got 45 minutes to go or 45 miles to go, and you go, I don't know if I can make it. More than likely you're not going to make it. Especially if you sit in that moment. And so I think that's powerful. One of the most powerful things you said right now is, if it doesn't serve you, just don't hang on to it. Keep going.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. Again, like, and the way that I looked at it, especially with Leadville, like number one, like it's a huge goal in general. But if you look at that moment in time, it's only up to 30 hours of your time. I had been training for the last year for this 30 hours. Why am I complaining about being here? I've spent a shit ton of money to be here. My family is here supporting me. My friends are here supporting me. I sure as hell can't let them down. And I think that's a big motivator in that as well. And it may be something that people miss with those kind of goals, is like, there's too many people to let down, not to mention myself, if I am to quit. The only reason, and leading into that, my mentality was, the only way that I'm getting off this course is if they have to, like, medically pull me off or something like that. Like, I'm not quitting. It's not an option. There's no option to quit. And then this go around, getting a big buckle, I had that attitude going in. I was like, there is no other option. As far as I'm concerned, my cutoff is 25 hours. Now, I would have finished it out if I didn't make that. And I questioned it a little bit leaving Twin Lakes the second time, but there wasn't an option for me to finish past 25 hours.
Let's take some of this stuff and take it over to life and into business. Um, Having no other option. I want to talk about that. So you have no other option. You're running a business. Maybe you're struggling. I know there's a lot of people out in the real estate industry, and I know in your industry as well, in the lending side, that things are a little. There's some turmoil, right? We're in an election year. People are sitting on the fence. They're not making decisions. What does the mindset of having no other option but to go forward do for you?
So, and you may have heard this too. The first time I really kind of bought into this philosophy was hearing Andy Frisella talk about it. He's got the zero option mentality, right? And if y'all have ever heard that, that's kind of where this stems from. Although I'm not as extreme as that, right? Like, and that's probably why I don't personally do maybe better in my own business than I would like to be, right? Like, I tend to have kind of shiny object syndrome sometimes. And we kind of had that conversation earlier about I wish I could take some of these aspects of my training and apply it across to my life. And I've done a lot better with that. But if you look at it in its entirety, I think there's multiple segments of your life that it would really work for, right? Like on the training side, like for me, unless I'm sick or something like that, I'm not going to miss a day of training. It's just who I am. It's ingrained in my stuff. I've learned that it doesn't have to be the best day of training. Doesn't have to be the worst. And if it's bad, I got through it. I never feel worse for having done it. Right. And I think looking at it in that perspective, whether it's life, whether it's your job, is pretty beneficial. And again, I say that I don't do a great job of that in some of my parts of my life, and I could do better. But I think if we learn how to segment certain pieces and really work on the things that we struggle with that kind of mentality, you can improve yourself pretty quickly.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And the other thing too about just, breaking the mileage out, hey, I just got to make it to the next mile marker. Like how could that apply to life or business, taking some of the big things that maybe we're facing and breaking them down?
Right. So I'll work on this on the lending piece, right? And real estate agents can do the same thing. Like if you look at somebody who's very established or does very well in this industry, right? Let's say they do, like we had a guy in our company close 52 loans last month. It's nutty. Absolutely nutty. And coming along with that, like the first thing that blows through my mind is like, okay, 52 loans. I couldn't imagine doing 52 loans. All right. And already I'm failing right there because I'm like, I can't imagine doing 52 loans. This guy's doing 52 loans. Therefore, theoretically, I could do 52
But
loans.
before you keep going, because I think I know where you're going with this, but I bet that guy that did 52 loans would look at you doing a 100-mile race and be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I tend, and that's my point is we tend to look at stuff, and especially people that are very successful, let's say in our industries or in business, and we see where they're at, right? Like this guy closing 52 loans. Well, when he started out, he wasn't closing 52 loans. When I started out running, I sure as shit wasn't running 100 miles. I remember when 4 miles was a long way for me. And that's a long way for 99.9% of people. But now, like 24 miles is like nothing anymore. Like that's a standard long run on a Saturday. Like a marathon distance. Oh, I can go out today and run 50 miles unprepared, go do it and be done with it by the end of the day, and it's like, okay. So applying that to business, if we learn how to chunk things down that we want to accomplish, I think it is the big key there. So again, back when real estate or lending, I don't need 52 loans. What do I need today? What do I need to do today to be able to get my next deal? Right. And that's another thing where I struggle at again, because it's like I allow things to pull away from my time and all that stuff. Training pulls away a lot of time for me. My kids pull away a lot of time for me. And I tend to make excuses on that instead of being more efficient with my time. And that's, I think, key number two is the time efficiency piece to all of this. You know, there's a I don't know who said it, but you give what does it say? It's like give somebody a month to do something and they're not going to do it until the last day, but give them 4 hours, they'll get the same job done.
Yep.
Right. Time efficiency, I think, is a big thing with all of this. And that's why training is okay, because it's like, oh, I only have to go out and do this for an hour versus I need to work for like 6 or 7 hours.
Sure. Sure. Um, what was the biggest lesson? Like if you were to look at all the lessons that you could have taken from your run, what is the biggest lesson that you've taken that could be something that could help you in your next race or help you in business or life in general?
Consistency. There's that stupid word. Consistency is the key to all of this. And again, I mean, you apply that to everything in your life. You want a good relationship with your partner, be consistent in keeping that relationship alive, right? Like I've done a lot better with all of that kind of stuff, learning that consistency is kind of the key to everything, because it looks different for every single deal, right? I'm sure you've seen those graphs. It's like consistency is not you showing up every single day, right? It is, but like some days you're up here, some days you're down here. But if you look at the broad stroke and the timeline of it all, you can see the consistency across the entire year. It doesn't require you to show up every day, because we're not going to be able to show up every day.
Yeah, I think it's inhuman to think that we can do that. And it's crazy. I'm in the coaching world and I hear that all the time about these people that almost seem like they're perfect, right? And they're consistent every day. They don't have any hiccups. And it kind of goes back to that conversation when you're comparing yourself to the guy that did 52 loans. We didn't see all the hard work that it took to get there. You didn't see the blood, the sweat, the tears, the time that when he was probably broke. All those things that took going through and experiencing to be able to get to a place where you can do that. And yeah, what a great lesson. What a great lesson.
Well,
Um,
if
Go
you
ahead.
look at it from, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but if you look at it from, again, like, and we may dive down this here in a minute, but like success and those kind of things, I think are also kind of in the eye of the beholder, right? Because I'm going to use the lending analogy again. Just because somebody is doing 52 loans a month doesn't mean that they're successful in every other aspect of their life, right? Like I've seen plenty of lenders and mortgage lenders who do a lot of volume who suck at everything else.
Yeah.
They're divorced.
Destroyed relationships.
They
Yep.
don't have a relationship with their kids. They don't know how to manage their money. All that kind of shit. And it's I think the point of that was like success isn't always what it seems to be either with a lot of folks.
Yeah. It's seeing it's the iceberg, right? And
Yeah.
we get to see what's on top of the water. We don't get to see everything that's happening below the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Tell us a little bit about your business. So you're a loan originator with U Mortgage. You're up there in the Dallas area, but you can do loans all over the place, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Tell us about your business and how people can connect with you.
So yeah, I am a lender. I do all sorts of loans on the residential side. You can do everything from first time home buyer, veterans, jumbos. I really, 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 really enjoy investors, and I have a great network for investors to get all sorts of stuff done on the creative side, creative financing stuff, um, gap money, loans, fix and flips, like it's funny, investors were a big part of my business 3 years ago. And then when the interest rate stuff started happening, that kind of died out again with the big influx in home prices, the big influx in interest rates. The investment stuff really died out. And now we're getting back into a period of time where it's picking up in that respect. So I would say I do all types of loans. I specialize in investments for anybody listening that may need all that stuff. If you need money, you need funding, properties, network is vast on that one.
Awesome. How do people get a hold of you?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You can find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Brandon C Head on social media. I mean, do I drop my phone number? You can
You can
call
drop
me.
your phone number. Yep. What's
Yeah.
your number?
214-679-5412. I do answer my phone pretty much all the time if I'm awake, outside of evening times. And it says it on my voicemail. If you ever get my voicemail, I have family time in the evenings from 5 o'clock till about 7, because that's really the only time I get to spend with my boys. So if I don't answer during that time, you can leave me a message or shoot me a text message. I'm pretty good with text messages as well.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you for being on the show today. There were so many lessons, and I know we spent a little bit more time on the running side, yet all those lessons that you shared in that aspect of your life are our life lessons, our business lessons that we could take and implement in our business. I love the fact of being consistent. I always tell my people, be consistent, but also be intentional. And just lots of good information that I know that if somebody's listening to this, it's going to bless them in their life in some way. And if you're listening to this today, and maybe you're thinking about being an ultra marathon person, go follow this guy on his social media, and you're going to learn some things and be able to see what type of mindset you need to have in place to be able to accomplishment and the training that's involved in that. I think it'd be a great place to follow. If you just want to follow a good guy, go follow him. And if you need a loan, make sure you reach out to my friend, Brandon Head.
Man, oh man. I've enjoyed this, Jeremy. It's been fun.
Awesome. Well, until next time, onward and upward. Cool, man.